My name is Christian Schaefer. I'm a photographer and filmmaker, and I'm now in my 6th year of living on the road full time.
In May of 2018, I moved out of my apartment that was just outside of Seattle, Washington, and into my Nissan Xterra SUV for a summer, which turned into 14 months. Then I decided to purchase this van, which I've called home for more than 4 years now. I've already done 2 complete walkthroughs of my original build that you can go and watch if you want to see just how this van started out.
This video will be an overall walkthrough, but with emphasis on the changes and updates I've made since the rebuild. If you've been following me for a bit, you know about what happened this summer.
I just decided to start ripping flooring up because I was smelling some really concerning smells, and it's pretty bad, guys.
Most of the subflooring was soaked with water. It was a hugely stressful event. I would not wish it on anyone. The problem was a leak in the plumbing in a section between the cabinet and the actual metal van floor. So in a place where the leak wasn't visible and pretty much just went unnoticed for a really long time and did a lot of damage. I contacted my original builder and we wound up ripping out the entire bottom half of the van and doing a total rebuild. At this point, it's December, so I've now been living in the new remodel for about 4 months, and I've had some time to really test out the new build.
This van is a Ram ProMaster High Roof 1500 136 wheelbase with custom cut wheel wells for 245 all-terrain KO2 tires and aftermarket Sumo springs for added suspension. For this rebuild, we replaced the entire lower half of the van. I did consider a fixed bed this time around, but ultimately decided to keep the dinette setup. I love having the ability to completely transform my living space every day, and the office setup makes it much easier to edit for long stretches of time. At first glance, it might look kind of exactly the same, but there are quite a few changes we made to really maximize space and make this van even more functional than before.
So one of the first things we did was redesign the dimensions of this walkway. We widened it by 2 inches, and then we also pushed the countertops in by 2 inches. So the bed is a little bit slimmer, but the trade-off is that I have a lot more space in the hallway where I can easily store my e-bike and still get in and out. One thing you may have noticed is that we got rid of the toe kick. So the toe kick, it was in the previous build a 3-inch space where your toe could slide underneath and you wouldn't stub your toe all the time. I decided to get rid of that in order to maximize space. I personally think it's been so worth it. I was able to add 2 more lithium batteries in the electrical compartment. We made the camera drawer so much bigger, and there was so much extra space that we just played with the dimensions over here a little bit and added an entire second drawer above the fridge. I wanted to repurpose and salvage as much as possible for this rebuild, so we were able to keep the upper cabinets, all of the lighting, the fixtures, appliances, even the subway tile is the same as the original build. We just regrouted everything so that it's nice and bright. With the countertops, I went with a whiter, brighter color. I just feel like the brighter, the more it opens this space up. Up here, we replaced the Dometic Fantastic Fan with the Maxxair Fan. And honestly, it has been night and day. The Fantastic Fan I would only run when I was cooking because I had to. And the reason is because it makes this loud whirring sound that was so annoying. But this fan is like feather light, and I run it all night long when I'm sleeping. It puts me right to bed. This can be ran in the rain, whereas my old one couldn't. So highly recommend. Here is the camera drawer. It goes back further and it's deeper, so I can fit everything I need to in there.
If you guys are interested in knowing what camera gear I use or what I have in my office setup, or even anything I mentioned in this van tour, I have a page on my website that's linked down below. It's everything from camping gear to camera gear to van life essentials.
Here is the bottom drawer where I just keep towels, utensils, cutting boards, and then this drawer on top is where I keep the rest of my utensils. I kept the same small Dometic fridge, which in all honesty, I would have loved to go with a larger size just to accommodate more food, but that would have meant selling the old fridge, buying a new fridge, and this just seemed like the simpler way to go. If you saw my previous van tour, you might remember that I had an 11-pound propane tank, and I actually never used that in the van. I had just gotten it for the van, and someone in the comments pointed out that it wasn't properly ventilated and that it was an actual safety hazard. I ended up going right back to the 1-pound Coleman propane tanks, which it really sucks from an environmental perspective because I go through them a lot more often than I would a bigger propane canister. I did consider replacing this gas stove with an induction stovetop, but everything I read online just said that it drew a lot of power. I didn't want to complicate things further by by adding in an appliance that would require even more power. So I am sticking with the propane gas stovetop for now. In this cabinet, I have more food storage, mostly dry goods in these collapsible cloth baskets. Bowls, plates, frying pan, my pot here, and then I'll keep spices or produce up in here. And the key is to make sure it doesn't rattle when you're driving. And so far, this has been pretty solid. In this cabinet, I have more kitchen storage. Kitchen supplies, toiletries, more kitchen stuff, collapsible strainer, favorite mugs, plastic wine glasses, collapsible water kettle, which I use all the time, every day. AeroPress for making coffee. Behind those linen boxes, I have my propane tank and a propane gas detector mounted behind that. I have a bear bin for whenever I'm camping in remote locations and need to store trash outside the vehicle.
Down in this cabinet is the electrical system. Everything in this van is solar powered and runs off of either AC or DC current. For this rebuild, I decided to double the battery capacity to 4 100 amp lithium batteries. On the roof, I have 2 mounted solar panels that are 160 watts each, so 320 watts total, and I use an app on my phone to wirelessly monitor my battery levels. Throughout the van, there are 5 12-volt dimmable light switches, 10 LED 12-volt puck lights, 3 AC outlets, 4 USB-C, and 2 USB charging ports. With these newer ports, I'm able to power my laptop using a 140 watt 12-volt converter rather than my inverter, which definitely helps conserve energy. We moved the fuse box to the front so it's easier to access and upgraded the DC-DC charger to a solar DC charging combo that charges my house batteries whenever I drive. This newer model is both smaller and more efficient. It can recharge my setup to 100% with roughly 8 hours of driving. I also have a 3000 watt inverter, and we upgraded the wiring throughout to better support the voltage. I can curl my hair, I can use power tools. In this drawer, we have maybe the most important thing in the van, which is the toilet. Ta-da! If you guys remember in my last van build, my toilet was on a drawer with actual sliders and it was constantly falling apart. I had to do multiple repairs on it. This design is a lot simpler. We made it to accommodate the Trelino composting toilet, which highly recommend. These 2 bins here on the side are for trash and composting material for the toilet. I stack my toilet paper here on the side, so everything is conveniently located for me to use the bathroom. Number 1 and number 2. In this cabinet, I keep mostly cleaning supplies. This little shelf is a new addition, and under the sink is basically more cleaning supplies. Compost garbage bin, baby wipes, paper towels, mini plunger, grocery bags, lint roller, magic erasers, composting bag, everyday cleaner, dish soap, bear spray, Swiffer, glass cleaner, rodent spray, very important. Laundry detergent, I got 6 of these in 2021 and I still have 2 left. On the inside of this cabinet door, I have 3 hooks to hang dish drying towels and my mini broom that I use all day, every day. We relocated the water pump from the side of this cabinet to the top to make better use of what was otherwise an empty space. Here's the water pump and gray water tank switch, and the gray water tank is a 5-gallon tank stored outside underneath the van. Out here is my water storage so that I have easy access to just take it out and fill it up. And of course, we redid all of the plumbing. In my original build, I had the shoe drawer accessible from the outside, which honestly didn't make a lot of sense because I couldn't get to my shoes unless I went outside. So we moved this indoors and now I use it every day. When it came to flooring for this rebuild, I actually found what I think is the exact same flooring that I had in the original build. It was deeply discounted at Floor & Decor, so we love that. We use the same flooring all throughout, including underneath the benches in the back. With the Ram ProMasters, there is a metal flooring with grooves, and in the past we put in pieces of plywood to make it everything level, which ended up just being one more material that could get soaked. So we eliminated that and we left those channels open so that if there is ever any water underneath the van, it can hopefully go out the back through those open channels. On top of the metal flooring, we put 1/8 inch mahogany, which was painted and treated to be mold and mildew resistant. Then we just glued engineered hardwood flooring directly on top of that. In the old build, we had the plywood planks, 1/4 of an inch of plywood, a whole layer of insulation, a whole layer of cork, and then engineered hardwood. I'm actually curious to know just how tall this is. 6'2". I think it was only 5'10". Maybe 5'11" last time.
This down here is another new addition. It's basically a 4-inch step that still allows me, oh, you can't see, there's still headroom. We made the mistake of mismeasuring these benches and my feet were dangling. It ended up being a really happy accident because this is more storage and we love more storage. It is my tripod storage. Up in these cabinets, I keep mostly clothing and they're stored in these collapsible cloth bins. I like to roll most of my clothes just because it maximizes storage and it's easier to see what you have. In this bin, I have zippered travel bags. So I keep socks in here, underwear, bras, that sort of thing. Keeps it really organized. Folded pants, a folding mirror, and a bunch of toiletries. Face wash, face lotion, contact solution, hairbrush, makeup, miscellaneous toiletry stuff, hair ties, more toiletry stuff. I got these little containers off of Amazon and I store various things in them. Like this one has sunscreen, ibuprofen, that sort of thing. For the seating area, we did change the dimensions a little bit to maximize the seating area storage and also to push the walls out and make the bed longer. The bed is actually the thing I was most excited about for the van upgrade because we took it from 5'11" to 6'2". I used to always sleep diagonal in my bed because I'm 5'9" and I like to stretch out, but now I can actually sleep sideways and be comfortable. We did that by knocking out the side panels and then coming up with a new design that can maximize that space. Since we changed the dimensions of the seating area, we couldn't reuse the cushions. We had to custom cut all new cushions, but the benefit of that is I got to choose a new color.
The old cushions were a bluish gray, and the new ones are a warm cafe latte heather gray, and I love them. The cushions themselves are 3 inches of natural latex, wrapped in wool batting and enclosed in a zippered muslin fabric case, which nests inside this outer casing of duck canvas.
With a triple stitch inseam, so it is durable as fuck. My work table is mounted on a lagoon mount, and at night when I make the bed, it just pops right down. And then I put these cushions down over it and lay my 1-inch mattress topper on top of the 3 inches of latex cushion. So it's super soft. It's probably the size of a full bed, I would say. In this bench, I keep all of my bedding and it's pretty deep. The 1-inch latex mattress topper is down underneath.
You can also see my WeBoost is tucked away down here, with the interior antenna mounted to this side column and the exterior antenna attached to the roof. I've had pretty good luck using this to boost my cell signal in remote locations. And I recently upgraded my monthly mobile plan to include a 130 gigabyte hotspot, so I'm able to work off grid in most places with this setup.
Here's the other end of that same bench. I use a handful of these zippered linen bags that I got from the Container Store down inside the benches because they're just super durable and really great for organization.
In the previous build, these benches had metal framing, which took up a fair amount of space. So this time around, we went with a simpler design that allows for so much more storage.
I've got my backpacking bag, helmet, a bunch of hiking boots. Underneath the bag is my stand-up paddleboard, which I can easily access from the back. When we redesigned the bed and dinette area, we made it so that the back bench was actually a lot wider so that it could serve as a day bed. It's 6'2" long and then I think 27 inches wide. I personally prefer transforming the whole space every single day because it just makes me feel more productive. If I wake up and the first thing I do is make my office, I go into work mode, and that really helps me with a little bit of structure and routine. But it is nice to have the option of not having to make my bed every night. This is my work/eating table. It can move in all sorts of directions because it's on a lagoon mount. This table is a solid piece of wood as opposed to my last table, which was 2 pieces of wood glued together. And the problem with that was it was really thick and heavy, and so it would lean a little bit on the lagoon mount, and it had a tendency to warp. This one has not warped at all so far, so that's been great. It's also lighter, so it's less likely to wobble, and there's more surface area. So I definitely prefer this table over the last one. If I want to work from my day bed or have like dinner and a movie, I can reposition the table like this, pull it up close, and then I can have my food, my iPad, and it's super convenient. I have these 2 sliding windows on either side. When I'm sitting at my desk working, I have fresh air coming in. I can also look up and see a beautiful view. So that was another reason why I didn't want a fixed bed, is because my desk area would have been over there and I would have just been staring at the kitchen sink all day. This may seem like an excessive amount of pillows in a van this size, and it is, but it's storage in plain sight. I keep all my down sleeping bags, down jackets, and just other various blankets inside each of these pillows back here. Actually, one of you commented on my original van tour this idea, so thank you. It has been the ultimate hack. I do have a travel Martin guitar that I'm still learning how to play, slowly but surely, but I usually just have this in its case and it just hangs out back there whenever I'm driving or on the bed if I'm too lazy to make the bed that day.
In the back, I decided to have cabinet doors rather than drawers to save space, and added a shelf to the middle cabinet so I could better organize my gear. This partition wall used to have an electric outlet in it, which ultimately resulted in a lot of wasted space. I decided to remove the outlet so we could open up this wall and create a kind of cubby hole to hang jackets, add a hat hook, and stash a few extra things.
My day pack. Inside my day pack, I have another backpack, my grab-and-go shower pack, shower tote, quick dry towel, carabiner for easy hanging, hat storage, laundry bag. I've actually had this bag since college, which was, well, I graduated in 2007, so a long time. Okay, I know I'm probably gonna get comments asking about a shower and why I didn't include one in this rebuild. I personally think that for a van this size, a shower just doesn't make sense. To me, it's wasted real estate, not only for the shower stall itself, but for the fresh water and gray water storage as well.
I actually used my solar shower quite a lot this summer. It's so easy to fill up in a river or lake and then just add a kettle full of boiling water to make it nice and hot. Plus, I have a gym membership, sometimes I house sit, and there's always campgrounds and aquatic centers and the occasional Airbnb. So I'm pretty content with this setup and not having a shower. Under the driver's seat, I keep a lot of tools and miscellaneous things like tape and batteries.
Tire inflator, jump starter, shovel.
I should also probably mention that we replaced the original plastic cabinet and drawer latches in the van with a stronger metal latch design. So far, it's been a solid upgrade. Underneath this swivel passenger seat is my S-Bar petrol heater. It draws gas directly from my van's fuel tank, so I don't need to hook up a separate fuel source to keep it going, and it's extremely efficient. I have yet to see any noticeable drop in the fuel gauge whenever I start the engine, even after using it for hours at a time. Also, this is the high altitude model, which means it can function in higher elevations. Next to the heater, I have a battery-powered carbon monoxide detector. And for the rebuild, we relocated the 12-volt temperature monitor to the back of the van, so I can easily start my heater in the morning without getting out of bed. Up here in the front, I stack all sorts of miscellaneous things. Yoga mat, camp table, shoes, backpacks, walkie-talkies, more random stuff. Basically, I'm like a squirrel, and I hide things everywhere.
Under my cushions, I store my window covers. They are from Van Made Gear, and they're Reflectix material and they have magnets along the side, so they completely black out the van once I have them all placed on the windows. And then I have a blackout curtain here up front that I can secure to the side door using a magnet so that there's no light coming out of the van, and it's pretty stealthy.
I do think this rebuild was absolutely necessary, just to ensure there wasn't any possibility of mold or wet wood residual in the van.
I also wanted to compensate Brett, although he did offer to do it at cost, which was incredibly generous of him. I didn't want to do that. He put so much work, time, love, and effort into this van, and I'm so thankful to him that he even fit me in. I just passed the 60,000 mile mark in the van, which Does seem to surprise a lot of people considering how long I've been in the van, but doesn't surprise me. I mean, I enjoy traveling slow.
I would say somewhere around the 2-year mark of living like this full time. The novelty of quickly driving from place to place kind of wore off, and I began to travel with more intention and base in locations for weeks at a time before moving on. I find slower travel to be a lot more enjoyable and sustainable in the long term.
I also really love this van and I want it to last, so I'm not in any rush to rack up the miles. I think overall this layout really maximizes space. It's highly functional and comfortable while still being compact and not a pain to drive around or park in urban settings or along narrow mountain roads. My only genuine complaint is that it's not a 4x4. I hope that I covered just about everything. I'm sure I left some things out here or there, so if you have questions or comments, leave them down below and I will do my very best to respond. Come say hi over on Instagram at Christian Schaefer if you want to see more behind the scenes content of living life on the road full time. As always, thank you so much for being here. Y'all are the best. Maybe one day I'll see you out on that open road.